Hello, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. This week, we're talking about the transits from Monday, August 10th until Sunday, August 16th, and we have a lot to get into. We're seeing the biggest thing is that we're seeing our first eclipse of this eclipse season. So, we're going to have a new moon total solar eclipse in Leo that is happening on the 12th. We also have the sun Cazimi with Mercury. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure that's correct. I could be mistaken. I know we have the Mercury Jupiter Cazimi, which is happening on, or sorry, not Cazimi, Mercury Jupiter conjunction, which is happening on the 15th. And the sun actually may be happening next week. Might have misspoke on that one, but either way, we have a lot going on this week. So we have a lot to cover. Now, something that I've really been moving through in my own life and my own experience and my spiritual practice is really this practice of non-attachment. Now, it could be all of my fixed energy that I have in my chart, and I really get set in my ways. I do have a lot of material attachment. I have a Taurus sun, I have a Leo moon, Leo rising, but I have a Taurus sun, Taurus Mercury. It's all my 10th house. So it's very material. I have a lot of earth as well. So this is very material. I have an emotional authority, which means that sometimes, and I have one more, I have Venus square to Jupiter. So all of this is really, astrology, human design lingo to say that I get really attached. I can be very excessive. I can be spontaneous. I can be impulsive. I tend to use things as a way of not regulating, numbing, escaping, getting those quick hits of dopamine. And so it's something that I've really been working on moving through, especially as I've gotten older and just life and responsibilities. And I dance this line between living in the 3D where we have bills, we have obligations, we have responsibilities. I'm a single mother, so I have 2 kids. Food needs to be on the table. And the other half of me is like, this is all fake. It's all an illusion. None of it really matters. I'm creating my reality. So who cares? I walk this line between the two of them. And it helps me feel less stressed out over certain things because I do have a lot of subconscious programming that I'm working through. But part of what I've been studying, contemplating, sitting with over this last week as I've been studying yoga and really diving into Yoga Sutras, Bhagavad Gita, and just yoga philosophy in general is this idea, this concept, this teaching of Prakriti and Purusha. What this is Prakriti is nature. This is 3D. This is everything in the material. And Purusha is yourself, capital S, your higher self, your soul. There are actually so many through lines that I'm learning, that I'm picking up between yoga and human design, which is really fascinating. But I want to read something from the Yoga Sutras. And it talks about the union between the self and nature. So it says, it doesn't mean the union of the individual self with the higher self, but the union of Purusha and Prakriti, self and nature. When they are completely apart, they don't express themselves. Their connection, however, lets us know them both. They help each other. It is something like if you want to print with white letters, you must have a black background for contrast. You can't write white letters on a white background. Through the Prakriti, we realize we are the Purusha. If not for the Prakriti, we could not know ourselves. So Prakriti isn't just bondage, as many people think. It is necessary. And it goes on in the next verse to talk about the 4 noble truths of the Buddha and how they teach about the misery of the world, right? The cause of misery, the removal of the misery, and the method used to remove it, and how the Yoga Sutras kind of parallel this. And it finishes out saying, the Buddha got it, Patanjali got it, Lord Jesus got it, Prophet Muhammad got it. The answer is the same, but the method of working it out may vary this way or that. And what it really makes me think of, so when I first started diving into human design, learning human design, they have this concept of the passenger, the vehicle, and the driver. So when you look at your chart, everything on the right, everything that's in black is what we call your consciousness, your conscious side, your personality side. This is the passenger. And I always thought of this as the ego in my mind. It was always the ego. Then you have the left-hand side, which is everything in red, everything that's unconscious. This is the design side. This is your body, the vehicle. And then you have the G center, which is, excuse me. Then you have the G center, which is in the middle, which has the magnetic monopole, which holds these two together. So this is actually your passenger, which when you think about Prakriti, which is your self, the capital S self, is designed to be a witness, right? Your soul comes into this physical vessel. Some would argue your vessel is actually in the soul, like the soul houses your physical body, but your soul comes to experience this life through the physical body, but it's just a witness. It's not doing anything. It's not feeling anything. It's not actively a participant in it. The vehicle, the body, the design, the unconscious, this is what is the experiencer, right? This is the vehicle. When you think about it, you're driving on a highway, the passenger is in the car. It's not driving. It's not navigating. It's watching. The vehicle is the one moving on the highway. It's moving through life, right? We have to take care of the vehicle. We have to maintain the vehicle. But the passenger is designed to just sit and witness. It's not here to do anything, just here to witness, to learn. If you believe in karma, if you believe in past lives, like you're here, your soul knew what it was getting into when it came here, and it's here to witness that through the physical body. That magnetic monopole is that union. It brings them together when otherwise they would be so different, right? You have the soul and the body, the self and nature, like they need each other to navigate through this life. And so as I've been moving through my day-to-day, as I've been experiencing the 3D, it's all a Maya, and we can't know that it's a Maya unless we know that it's Maya, right? We don't see the illusion when we don't understand that it's an illusion. Otherwise, it's just our reality. So we have to step back and we have to let go of any attachment to the physical, right? To the material, to people, places, things, to all of it, and be the witness. There's an example in the Yoga Sutras, in this specific translation, that might sound a little harsh because, of course, we love our family, we love our friends, we love our children. That is part of this experience. But the story was there was this god, and I can't remember his name, but a god decided to come down and manifest in a pig's body to experience what it's like to be a pig. The pig found a female pig, fell in love, and had little piglets. And it was so happy in its life, just rolling around in the mud with its little she pig and then its little piglets. All the other gods came down and said, hey, you need to come back up, get out of this, what you're absorbing yourself in, and come back out and be a god, right? Like come out to this side. And then the god that was a pig said, no. I love this woman. I love this she pig. I love this female pig. I love my piglets. They need me. I have to go tend to them. And so the gods killed all the piglets, which sounds horrible. And it is horrible. And the pig was so upset. And the god pig was so upset and cried and was like, okay, well, we'll just make more piglets. And at least I have my female pig. Then, of course, the gods got rid of the female pig. And the god pig was really, really upset. And then finally, the gods came down and tore open the god pig, and the god came out and came back to being a god and was able to have that non-attached perspective. Now, it's not saying that we need to, to that extreme experience that separation or that non-attachment. Of course not. We literally came into these physical vessels for a specific reason, like, to be with our family, to be with our children, to be with our friends. Like that's part of the experience. I think that so much of what this experience is emotions, the emotional experience. And so what I'm getting at is really practicing separating yourself from the material in some way, right? Like remembering, okay, if I only have X amount on my bank account, there's ways to get more, right? It's all energetics. what we put out, we get back. So if we're greedy and we're taking, we're not giving any, we're just like hoarding it, that's the energy that we're going to constantly be receiving, versus being generous or not attaching so much to the number in your bank account. Or, the other thing is it's great to learn and read and educate yourself and all these things, but if we're not taking action on those things, it's just sitting in the mind, right? We have to move it through to really learn these things. So I'm getting a little bit off track, but the whole purpose being that with all of the bigger astrology right now, that everything that's happening, we're being given an opportunity. Everybody's talking about it, right? Online. You're giving it an opportunity to change your life, change your circumstances, manifest, step into a new timeline. I've read something about every time you open a door, just imagine you walking into a new timeline. But with that means you have to let things go. And if we're not willing to let things go, especially, this is a fixed sign eclipse. Fixed signs are fixed. This is long term, but they're fixed, right? I heard the description of fixed signs they're fixed in the season. Leo season, we're in summer. There's no spring, there's no fall. We're in summer. If I'm in Texas, it is so hot here, right? We're in it. And so we have to let go. We have to practice non-attachment to the things that we want to let go and change about our life in order to bring new things in. I took on a financial responsibility that I haven't had to do in a while, and it's stretching me. I can feel it. There's a little bit of a stress where I'm am I going to be able to do this? But if I didn't have the stretching, if I didn't have that pushing my edges of what I can do, there would be no motivation to move past that. We have to stretch. Then I went and canceled $300 worth of subscriptions, things that I didn't even know I was paying for, right? Yeah, and a lot of them I would love to have kept, right? But priorities and what is the thing that I need in the moment, right? What's going to push me forward? What's going to move me forward? And even just sitting and looking, and I wrote everything down and I wrote the dates, now I know I don't have to sit here and stress when I look at my bank, or I don't have to avoid my bank account, because I know what's coming out when now. And I haven't known that for years, which is crazy, but I have not known that for years. I would just get the alert, in my bank account. So all of that being said, yes, I'm recording this on the Lionsgate portal 8/8. I'm going to do some future mapping journaling tonight, just to be calling that in, because actually future mapping journaling has been blowing my mind, because the things that I'm writing, it's essentially, if you're not familiar with it, you're journaling as if the thing has already happened. So when I journal in the morning, I either journal from the perspective of that evening or the next day, but it's already happened. And it's nothing major right now, but things are manifesting, things are moving, things are happening. And I'm okay, I see it, I get it, right? So I'm going to do that later, because every transit is what you make it. You can navigate life and they will impact you. The transits will impact you emotionally in some way, shape, or form. But it's up to you how much they're going to impact you, how much they're going to shift your life. So as we're navigating this week, this eclipse portal, this new moon in Leo, if we're wanting to step into a new timeline, to create something new, to manifest something new, we have to create space for it. We have to stretch ourselves. We have to get a little bit uncomfortable. All of these things that have been coming up for a reason. What are you going to do with it? Because it would be so easy to play the victim mindset, right? Oh, woe is me. This is the reason this isn't happening, and XYZ. And I always think of there's, when you speak about spirituality, when you speak about your soul coming to this life for a very specific reason, there often is that pushback of, what about abuse? What about, horrible, tragic things that happen? And yes, those are horrible and they are tragic. And it's never to justify any of those things happening. But I think the point and the shift and the power comes in, Viktor Frankl. If you've read his book, I actually forgot what it's called. Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl was in concentration camps in Nazi Germany and survived horrible atrocities that should never have happened. And it's never a justification for any of that things, especially, it was today we're moving through war times and terrible times. And there's so many things that we can get lost in, right? But we have to turn it inside and choose how we're going to show up in the face of that and what work we're going to do, right? Because and one more thing I'm going to read from the Yoga Sutras, and then I promise we're going to get into this week's astrology. It says, it's the translation, the description. It says, all the different religions say this. We are not going to get it from outside. Turn in, look within, know thyself. The teachings can help you slightly, but too much learning may just muddle your mind. We should learn a little and work with that. Turning inside means turning the senses within, trying to hear something within, see something within, smell something within. All the scents are within us. All the beautiful music is within us. All art is inside. Why should we search running after museums and gardens when every museum and garden is inside of us? And I just love that because it's so true. And he goes on just to talk about, when all of these ancient scriptures were written down or were channeled, I think there's this thing with storytelling that we don't necessarily do anymore because everything's videotaped, everything's written down, everything's AI, everything's whatever. But in ancient times, it was word of mouth. We had, I guess what you could call like the keepers. There's a book I'm reading and there's it's a fantasy book, but there's a race of species, I guess, that's called the keepers. And they had all these like copper rings and bands on that would hold the secrets of, thousands of years. And so we would have these people that would be the keepers, the storytellers, right? And they weren't sitting there reading books and studying. They probably didn't even know how to read, right? They were just sitting under trees. They were with nature. They were witnessing life, and they were downloading and receiving through that connection of Prakriti and Purusha, right? Okay, let's get into the astrology because clearly I have a lot to say today. But these are like, so is my mind. It's never just really small little contemplations, right? I'm always like in it. And, with a Leo moon, this is Leo season, Leo moon, Leo rising, there's just so much focus on like myself and my spiritual journey, and especially with Jupiter here. And then I have it square to Pluto. So there's always this really intense depth to it. My emotions are just so big. So there's always like something. So, all right. So let's get into the astrology of this week. Again, there's a lot going on. It is really big. It is a really powerful week to be doing this. I really recommend if you do, like, first of all, journal, period. That's always like my biggest recommendation for people is journal. Find a way to come inside. So whether that's just sitting in meditation for 15 minutes in the morning, meditation at night, doing a yoga nidra, something that is not on your phone, that is just you being with yourself, go for a walk in nature, sit outside, hug a tree, something. But journaling is my number one recommendation always. Future mapping, because this is a time where we're releasing things, we're setting new intentions, and especially with the eclipse season, like where things are illuminating, right? Like there's just so much going on. So I can't recommend it enough. Like future mapping, we're writing as if, and it gives us that feeling of what it would feel like to have. It gives us the feeling of what we want, right? The thing that we're searching for, whatever the material thing is that we're searching for, we're always searching for the feeling versus the actual thing. So when we're journaling, as if we have it, bring in the emotions, bring all of that in and sit in that energy while you're journaling. And it's so, so powerful. Okay, let's go. So Monday, August 10th at 12:15 a.m. This is all Central Standard Time. So convert it to your time zone. We have Mercury in Leo square to Chiron in Taurus. We saw the sun square it. We saw Jupiter square it. Again, Chiron turned retrograde. So all of the energy of Chiron, that core wounding that we have, that deep wounding, is all internalized in Taurus. So food, senses, material, attachments, all of that is internalized. It is at 0 degrees of Taurus. So it's going to be going back into Aries in a month or two. And Mercury is our mind. It's what we're thinking on. It's what we're focusing on. It's our communication. Mercury, again, I think Mercury is one of the most underrated planets in astrology because it can transcend. Mercury is the messenger of the gods. You can go down to the underworld, come back up, go up to heaven, come back up, all the things. So this is really what we're focusing on. So if you're find that you're feeling, remember, emotions are the physical sensations in the body, feelings, the mental narratives we attach to it. So if you're feeling a lot today, if you're noticing your limiting beliefs, if you're noticing your core wounds, if you notice your subconscious programming coming up, like this is a beautiful time to work with it, because squares are challenging and also they push us forward, right? We need challenges in our life. So those are the things that stretch us and make us grow and move us forward. So it could be challenging. It could feel challenging, of course, depends where this is, but this is also fixed energy. So we're kind of fixed in our ways here. So we're having to like stretch a little bit with this. And then at 1:08 p.m., Venus in Libra, is trine Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto's retrograde. So we have Chiron retrograde, we have Pluto retrograde, we have Neptune retrograde, we have Saturn retrograde. So many retrogrades happening. So Venus and Pluto, there's always an intensity there. So Venus is our values. Venus is beauty. Venus is love. It's relationships. Really, this is so much of like, it's pleasure. It's our senses. And in a trine, which is supportive to Pluto, this could be bringing up a lot of things. Also, jealousy, possession, but it's supportive, but those themes might be coming up. Power to the people, justice, right? So we might be leaning into those with this trine. So creating art, finding the beauty in things. I want to say like fighting for what you care about. Although Libra doesn't necessarily fight, that's not like the kind of energy here, but it is bringing that top of mind. So if you're wanting to create something, Libra, when it comes to justice and balance, Libra tends to create art to spark a movement, right? And Pluto in Aquarius is revolution. So it's like, what are we creating to support that movement? And then at 5:01 p.m., Venus in Libra is opposite Neptune in Aries. So again, there's a fog here. So while Venus is trine to Pluto, she's also opposite to Neptune. So maybe there's a confusion, like what is the injustice that I'm seeing? What is the thing that I want to create? Like, I am a fan of Venus and Neptune conjunction or aspects. Sorry, not conjunctions. I mean conjunctions, but aspects, because there is this like dreamy, ethereal sort of like, especially romantically, right? But we might not see the red flags with Neptune and Venus talking to each other. But this has to do with the self, right? Neptune in Aries is like, who am I? What am I fighting for? The spiritual warrior energy. And then Venus in Libra. Libra is others, relationships. So there's this push-pull between who I am and who we are, you and me, right? This kind of energy coming up with that. So there might be some blurred lines between that. So just be aware of that. On the 11th, we have Mars moving into Cancer. Mars is action, assertion. It's the warrior planet. It's war, Cancer, home, feelings, emotions, sensitivities, mother, nurturing. Remember too, Cancer is represented by the crab. So if you are not in the underbelly, if the crab doesn't open up its underbelly to you, you're going to get the hard shell. So Mars in Cancer is notoriously known for being very passive aggressive, right? We're being very passive aggressive. So just notice if that's a theme that comes up. Notice where this is in your chart. And then the moon also moves into Leo, getting ready for the eclipse. And then that evening, so 8:19 p.m. Central Standard Time on Tuesday, the 11th, we have Mercury in Leo opposite to Pluto and trine to Neptune. So Mercury is taking the place in this barbell basket that we saw it started with the sun. No, it started with Jupiter and then the sun and now Mercury. So we had Jupiter, which was expansion, which was luck, which was abundance. Then we had the sun, which is where we shine. This is our ego. This is really big, bold, kind of like bright scene energy. And now we have Mercury, which is communication. This is our mind. So this energy is coming out through our words, through our expression. It's what we're focusing on, what we're thinking of. And so again, just that little mini triangle, we're shifting realities. This is power to the people. This is a spiritual warrior. Who are we? What are we fighting for? Uranus and Gemini, radically shifting the way that we perceive things, the way that we work, the way that our mind works, what's happening with AI. Like there's so much going on. But this is really an opportunity, again, to really shift so much. And with Mercury here, again, this is the mind. This is what we perceive. our reality to be. This is what we're focusing on. This is what we're communicating. So really being in that energy. And then Venus is going to be trine to Uranus at 10:46 p.m. Venus and Uranus trines are supportive. There is a dynamic between Venusian love, relationships, justice, and Uranus is just unpredictable, unstable, unpredictable, shock, awakening, truths, right? So there's just kind of this unsettled nature that comes with this, but maybe we'll be seeing things that we didn't see before, right? Or we're opening our eyes to different perspectives, to different truths. We're awakening in the arena of values, relationships, money, beauty, art, all the things. Now, on Wednesday, the 12th, we have our new moon in Leo, total solar eclipse. Eclipses are chaotic. Eclipses don't operate as traditional lunations operate. Eclipses are when we have the moon in an aspect with a node. So the north node is currently in Aquarius. The south node is in Leo. This is a south node eclipse. A south node eclipse is bringing up themes where we're comfortable, things that we've repeated over and over and over. We want to move towards the north node. And so this new moon could be bringing up things, identities, because this is Leo, right? Identities that we want to let go of, that we want to release, right? New moons are when we cannot see the moon in the sky. So traditionally, they're for manifesting, for planting seeds. Full moons are when things are illuminated, so we're seeing clearly, and we're like, oh, all of these things are coming up, and I don't really want to face them, or they don't have space in my life. So then we let them go. And then during the new moon, we plant the seed. We can't see it, but we plant the seed, and we're going to nurture it between the time of the new moon and the full moon. Now, again, eclipses are a little bit more chaotic. So we don't necessarily, again, I also think do what you want to do. Do what feels right for you. Trust yourself because you know you best. In indigenous cultures, ancient cultures, they had a lot of practices around the new moon. Sometimes they would just stay indoors. Sometimes they would immerse themselves in water because water carries a charge. Some would smash plates at the same time as the eclipse because it was funneling that chaotic energy somewhere and dispersing it. Some would dance. Some would just sit in meditation and breath work. Doing something like that would really be helpful during this new moon. But essentially, this new moon is going to show us identities that do not serve us anymore, that we need to let go of because this is the South Node. This is also leadership. This is really big emotions because this is Leo. Leo wants to be seen. Whether it admits it or not, Leo wants to be seen. Leo is ruled by the sun. And so the sun and the moon are conjunct here in Leo. And this is really big energy. I actually will do a new moon Substack probably. So yeah, if you're on the newsletter, I'll also send out a new moon thing just in more detail about all of the stuff. But that is a broad overview because I also think that we're getting pretty, 30 minutes in. I still have stuff to cover. So keep an eye out. Join the newsletter. The link will be down in the show notes if you want to join that. I also have something really exciting coming that I'm not quite sharing yet, but I will have a wait list if you want to. It's going to be called The Archive. And essentially, this is every single teaching and workshop and program all housed in one place with the purpose being come and take what you need. Come and take what you need. There's a search bar, if you want to learn about transits, if you want to learn about new moons, if you want to learn about composite charts, if you want to take an emotions workshop, if you want to learn about Saturn, if you want to, it's all going to be in there. It is a teaching space. Take what you need. There will be 2 live calls a month. So there's going to be a new moon call and there's going to be a workshop. You all will have your input on what you want that month's workshop to be. There'll be a cutoff, like let me know by the last week of the month and I'll choose one and we'll have that scheduled. But I'm so excited, but I'm currently building it up. So it's not quite ready to be released yet, but I'm so excited. So that link is going to be down below. Sign up for the wait list. So you'll be the first to know when I actually fully launch it and release it. So I might record a new moon video and put it in there. And maybe I'll just share it. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, so that's a new moon, right? There's a lot going on there. On the same day. So that's happening at 12:36 p.m. Central Standard Time. Before that, at 9:41 a.m., we have Mars in Cancer, sextile Chiron in Taurus. Again, this is what are we moving towards? Like we have this core wounding that's coming up, and Mars wants to move. It's in Cancer, so move slowly. Cancer's like, we're not going to move that fast. But what is driving us? What do we want to change? Because there's so much change happening with all of this energy. So just noticing, again, Chiron is active this week, and especially with the lunation, we're just could be having really big feelings. And then we have our core wounds coming in there, and then we have the eclipse in there, and then there's just so much going on. So if you're feeling a lot, it's to be expected this week. Then we have Mercury sextile to Uranus. So we kind of already talked about the little mini triangle configuration, and Mercury being in this basket opposite to Pluto, kind of completing that, or what we could experience with that. So, but Mercury is exactly sextile to Uranus on the 12th at 3:47 p.m. And then on the 13th, the moon moves into Virgo. So we typically feel new moons or any lunation really 3 days before and 3 days after. So we'll still be having maybe these really big emotions, but Virgo is a little bit more grounded. Virgo is an earth sign, so it's a little bit more grounded in there. The 3 days before a lunation, especially 3 days before a new moon, are what we call the dark moon. And that's happening Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So I'm releasing this on Sunday. So Sunday will be kind of like we're already in the portal of the eclipse, but we'll be entering the 3-day, that dark moon phase of the new moon. The dark moon phase is like what it sounds like. We can't see. There's a lot but it's such an important part of the moon cycle, right? We're facing things, we're coming inside. It's so important to come inside and do that work, kind of like that Yoga Sutras, right? It's like everything that we need is really within. So how can we come like deep within and just be with that part of ourselves and integrate that part of ourselves? Again, a South Node eclipse, like the South Node isn't necessarily something that we need to leave behind versus something we need to integrate. Whenever we have any opposite in astrology, there needs to be an integration of the two energies. So yes, we're moving into Aquarius, where we're focused more on the collective. We're focused more on humanitarian efforts. We're focused more on making wins for everybody. But we have to integrate the ego into that, right? It's literally what we kind of started with the self, the soul, and nature, right? We have to integrate these two to come together. So, okay, so the moon moves into Virgo on the 13th. And then Mercury is sextile to Venus. So all of these themes that have been coming up with Venus, maybe we're feeling the need to create some art, or we're just kind of in our feelings, or we just are being pulled to just experience more beauty because there's so much chaos and destruction, and it's so challenging outside of everything. Like Mercury is here to support us in that creation, because Leo is all about creativity. And so if we're using this to create something, maybe we're writing something, or writing a post or a blog, or you're on a podcast or something, right? Like there is this piece of like getting it from the mind out, right? And then on Saturday, the 15th, we have Mercury conjunct Jupiter in Leo. This is beautiful. We just had that Jupiter Cazimi, I think last week, right? Where Jupiter and the sun were at the same point in the sky. Now we have Jupiter and Mercury, expansion, abundance, luck. This is really benefic conjunct Mercury, which is our mind, which is communication. Our words, remember, our words, Mercury, manifest our reality. What are you saying? Do the future mapping. Get your words out, get in the feeling, and really expand into that, stretch into that, like feel I want to say the word luxury of that, because Leo is big and bold, and it is very luxurious in that sense, right? Like, see me, Leo's very fixed and I'm right, right? So like really taking up space during this conjunction. And then the last aspect we have this week is that the moon moves into Libra, not Leah, to Libra. So we're finding ourselves in that balance, harmony, kind of peace feeling of a Libra. I mean, the moon is always our emotions, but wanting to feel more stabilized, more neutral, more harmonious. And so that's the aspects of this week, the transits of this week. Again, it's big. It's big. And so come inside, meditate in whatever way that means for you. I've been going to yoga. Now I switched gyms and I'm so excited to have yoga classes again. So excited. I think I've gone like 3 or 4 times this week. Even if you go to a yoga class and like for me, I'll get there 15 minutes early and when there's nobody in class and I just sit in child's pose for like 15 minutes, and then I do a yoga nidra at night, or I've been doing loving kindness meditations where I'm just sending loving thoughts out, and journaling. Journaling is always so helpful. So thank you so much for listening. I know this one's kind of a long one, but we do have a lot going on this week. So thank you so much. And I will talk to you soon.